So thank everyone for coming out today. I really appreciate the show of attendance, and hopefully we got some luck with the weather today, so it's not going to be too cold. So I'd like to start off by saying different people will speak here today because this is a collaborative project, the park, the sculpture itself. You know, a lot of people came together to just make the entire thing happen. And some of these people will be here today speaking to you all and, telling you the role that they played in this, I think, just unspeakable, great addition to this community. You know, I think this kind of just takes everything here to the Bethune Center, not just the Bethune Center, but, you know, the Greenville community to a whole new level of things we can do here, activities that we can have going on. Today, what you see is just the start. We got some vendors over here for a little holiday market since we had to bring people out in the cold, which we really wanted to do this in July or August, but unfortunately the sculpture gets finished when it gets finished from the bronzing factory, so here we are in the winter, so we'll make the best of it. So I'd like to bring up first Mayor Fulop, and before I bring Mayor Fulop, I just want to say a few words about Mayor Fulop. I don't think it's acknowledged enough or recognized enough, or he's even talked about enough, the contributions he's made to the arts in Jersey City over the last 8 years. I mean, you know, I've been in Jersey City for 30 years now, and I've seen arts community as we're budding and kind of fading out and back and forth, but I'd have to say in the last 8 years, you know, we've had a birth and a renaissance in the arts community, and that's not just downtown. That's here in Greenville, that's in the Heights, that's in Journal Square, and a lot of that goes to the credit of this man right here, because if we didn't have the backing of what we do here at the Bethune Center, if we didn't have the backing from City Hall, the mural programs, things that other cultural affairs things are doing, then a lot of this would not happen. This would not be here. The center would not have the programming that you all have come to expect and grow and rely on and love. So, Mayor Fulop, as I don't say this just as somebody on part of your administration, I say this sincerely as an artist here in Jersey City. Thank you for all you've done over the last 8 years and continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Alvin. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I'll try this. Let me just say first to Alvin, I'm just fortunate to really work with a great team and a great city council. So while he gave me plenty of credit, the reality is that we just have a very, very special city and a special community with a lot of great culture and artists. And it's easy to be at the forefront of embracing the creative class here in Jersey City. You know, when I talk about working with great people, I do want to give credit to Alvin because, you know, when we took office 8 years ago, the Bethune Center was a very, very different place. It was largely a party rental hall, as many of you remember. And what we said was that we wanted to put people in here to really change the dynamic here and make sure that it is a cultural center, a community center, and one that has programming throughout the day and throughout the week that spans different generations and backgrounds and interests. We put Alvin in here with Miss Holmes, and I think the rest is history, where they've totally changed the trajectory of the Bethune Center. This park was in many ways a no-brainer when you thought about it pragmatically. You said you had a parking lot on MLK, and there was a thought about being another park across the street over there. And we said, you know what, it made more sense to have the parking more hidden and the park front and center as something that people would come by and enjoy. And also, as part of the Bethune Center, it made sense that in the warmer weather, we could have programming outside as well as inside. And so the councilman, the council president, Jackson Hill SID, myself, and the Bethune Center worked together to get to where we are today. And then the final touch is a statue recognizing a woman that her accomplishments would be marveled at today in 2021, but to think about that she was doing this in 1935 really speaks to what kind of woman she was. So it's a special day, and thank you for everybody that was a part of it. I'll turn it back over to Alvin.
Thank you, Mayor Fulop. The next speaker we're going to bring up is our very own councilman, Jermaine Robinson. And I also, as I bring each person up, a lot of times we, in the community, unless you're in the arts, you don't always know what some of even city officials are doing in the arts. It just doesn't always go recognized. And Jermaine, he actually has turned the walls of his Light Rail Cafe into a gallery. He's been selling art for artists that come and show locally from the neighborhood, and they've been selling work off the wall. So, everybody kind of plays a role. So, without further speaking on this, Jermaine, I'd like for you to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Director. Oh boy, this is a 5-year journey that is now coming to completion. I'm happy that I was able to play a part of it. Although a small role, I know the role that I played really is important here. They say where there's no vision, the people perish. And when you talk about that, you speak about the vision that Alvin, the director, talked about from the mayor, from the city council, but also the employees, mama homes, and everyone else that plays a role every day right here across the street in our neighborhood. And when you talk about vision, I think the mayor touched on it. You speak about Mary McLeod Bethune, right? And all of the great work that she's done in her life to make it possible for someone like me to be standing here today. The work that she did, I know she started a school for women, but it didn't just reach for women. It started out as women, and then the college was co-ed, and she created a legacy that lives on still to today in our city. I know when we first started talking about the park, we talked about naming it after different people. But, after sitting down and really understanding what the legacy of the Mary McLeod Bethune Center was, it was just only fitting to have her to be standing right here on the avenue. So I'm just thankful that I was able to have a part in this. I'm thankful that I was able to work with a fantastic mayor, a fantastic council president, fantastic Jackson Hill, Main Street. Everyone plays a part, and it's because of all parts coming together that we all have great stuff that's happening in the city. I know for a long time we only looked at the avenue as something that was a negative. This right here is a positive, and this will be something that can be cherished for the next 100 years plus in our city. Hopefully everything goes right down the street and makes the next place better, and the next place better, and the next place better for the kids to have something to look forward to for the next few generations. So thank you guys for coming out, and I'll be out of your way because I know you want to see the statue. Thank you.
So our next speaker, and what I can say about this wonderful woman right here, Ms. Joyce Waterman, Councilwoman Joyce Waterman. Joyce is what I consider one of our biggest art connoisseurs. I mean, I can go to any art show, whether it's downtown, whether it's in the Heights, whether it's Atlantic Contemporary, whether it's up here at the Bethune Center, I run into Joyce. She's at all the art shows. We still are on the Artist Advisory Council board together. We're helping Brooke Hansen with choosing the murals and stuff like that to go up in the community. And she is a great supporter of the arts, and she has been ever since I've known her, and I'm sure she will continue to be. Joyce, it's all yours.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Well, first I would like to take this opportunity to thank Christine, because Christine runs the Division of Culture Affairs, yes. And every time you bring a vision to her, Christine don't fight the vision. She works with you. I want to thank Alvin, because when Alvin took over the Bethune Center, he's very creative. And to me, creativity helps us develop and grow. The uniqueness about Jersey City is our diversity. And as you travel through Jersey City, in certain pockets, I call it, there are symbols and murals that represents that culture. So today I'm excited because in this neighborhood here, which is dominantly a Black community, this symbol will represent its people. And this woman, Mary McLeod Bethune, she was a fighter. And in this community, we have people of color, we understand what it is to fight, to be a voice, to make sure our voice is heard. And to me, that's so important. It's fitting that it's right here in the middle of MLK. So we're sending a message here. We're sending a message here to the community and to our children to don't give up. You stand on the shoulders of giants, women who have fought to make sure that you can be educated, women who have fought to make sure that your voice was heard, humanity was served. I stand on the shoulders of women like this, like a Shirley Chisholm, like a Michelle Obama. You know what I mean? You know, like a Sandra Cunningham, like Lieutenant Governor Oliver. You know, we stand on their shoulders, and one day a little girl will stand on my shoulders knowing that a way have been paved for her, that she can do it. So it's a great day in the neighborhood.
Amen.
Thank you, and God bless you.
And Joyce, I think a lot of people are already standing on your shoulders, so doesn't have to wait till one day. The next speaker that I want to bring up, and this is a woman I consider a good friend, and we've worked together for over 20 years now. We first started when I moved over in the Astor Place area where I currently live, and we started the Monticello Development Corporation, Michelle Massey. And, you know, now I'm no longer with it, but it's grown into the Jackson Hill Main Street and, you know, and takes up from here all the way down to Monticello, and the great work that she's done and the effort and commitment that she's had to the community over the years that I've seen is unprecedented. And Michelle herself is actually, I don't know if she does it too much anymore, but she's actually a craftswoman too. She actually used to show and exhibit dolls that she would make in craft. These little African dolls, beautiful things that she'd have in galleries here throughout the community. So Michelle, I'm gonna let you take the mic because, you know, nobody can talk like you can, so come on up and say what you got to say.
Hello, everyone. I am going to talk about Mr. Alvin. Maybe a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, I went into his office after a meeting or something, and there was this small statue that you're going to see shortly. He made a small version of it first. And I immediately started jumping around, and I was like, I need one of everybody. We need to just statue the whole Ave, you know. And he is so ridiculously talented. He paints and he sculpts. And then he's shown me another side of himself by taking over this venue and altering the functionality of it. I remember when the mayor first offered him the job, he came to me and we sat in my car and he looked at me, he said, "What am I doing?" And I said, "Listen, you got this. You got this. You know, nothing beats a failure but a try." And look where he is now. And I need everybody. Alvin Pettit did this statue. Yes. That's awesome. Somebody in Jersey City, in the neighborhood. That's mind-blowing. And again, a symbol for young people and alike to know that this is homegrown. That's right. That's real special, people. That's real special. So I'm not, listen, I could talk all day, so I'm not. Stop it. You know. We'll have other conversations soon. Enjoy the day. Thank you. And after the unveiling, please come inside and check out the vendors. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
And our next speaker is someone else who has worked tirelessly in our community, fighting for economic development in the community growth, education, and everything that you can imagine. I was lucky enough to know Mayor Glenn Cunningham before he passed, and I knew Senator Cunningham here for many years. I was lucky enough a couple years ago to actually commission a portrait for her that I drew, commissioned by Councilwoman Waterman here, presented to Senator Cunningham. So, without further ado, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Actually, good afternoon, everyone. I will be brief because, to be really honest, I cannot wait to see this. I really can't wait. I do want to welcome everyone, thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the mayor for everything that he has done. I do want to thank, of course, Alvin and our city council for always moving us forward. And I even want to thank the littlest member of the family for being here. It is an honor to be here just for a minute to just say something about Mary McLeod Bethune. This was a woman who came out of slavery. Her parents were slavery. She did not let that stop her from getting what she wanted. Right. What she wanted was an education. What she wanted was an education because she knew that with an education, anything was possible. When our young people ride by, walk by, stand by, and look at this statue, I want them to remember one thing. Go home and buy a book and read it. Abraham Lincoln self-educated himself. If we need to self-educate ourselves, let's start this way. Jersey City is a wonderful, vital city, but it is a small part of the world. We want to educate our kids enough so that they know this is a big world and they need to find their place in it. That's right. So I'm just very, very happy. I would say something about Dr. Bethune. She considered herself a womanist. Yes. And a womanist, in her mind, was that she believed that African American or Negro girls could grow up to be whatever they wanted to be. They could also grow up to be involved and leaders in their community, that they could grow up and be successful. Period. No excuses not to be. The school that she helped to create still exists. It's now a university. It is thriving. She would be so proud. This is a woman whose parents were slaves, but she ended up being advisors to several presidents on how to be the best president they could be. That's who she was. And when we look at this, let's remember that because we all have some of that. And I will close with this. She was she was the most influential, important African-American woman in the United States of America until, and she would not mind this at all, until Michelle Obama became the most important African-American woman in these United States. Thank you.
So I think that concludes the speakers that we have for today, and all wonderful. Thanks to everybody. I'm just going to say a few words, and then we got one more. And anybody that lives in this community knows.
Literally running?
Okay. Yeah. Anybody who lives here knows that if you work with seniors, if you want to have any kind of senior affairs, this is the woman to go to. I mean, everybody over 60 knows Angela. I mean, she's kind of like, you get to know her. So, but yeah, she does wonderful work. And I mean, she's been around and she's tireless. She just goes. I don't know how she maintains her energy. She does. Angela McKnight.
Thank you. I literally just ran down the street. I'm at Audubon Park because there's another community event that's happening. So after this beautiful unveiling, please go down and get a turkey and some food and stuff. So I'm here today just to echo everyone's words that Mary McLeod Bethune is a trailblazer. And in our community, our children, as well as our youth and our seniors, will learn more about her right here in the heart of the community. I want to congratulate Alvin for doing such a wonderful job and sharing some of the back stories that he's been doing with this statue. So to everyone who's here and everyone who's watching, thank you so much. This is how we thrive when we share our trailblazers with our community. So thank you and congratulations, and I look forward to seeing the unveiling.
So if that's everybody, I also just want to take a moment, just say a few words, and to also thank some people that I don't think they're here today, but some of the contractors that helped work with this, Gus de Blasio with the contracting company, some of the guys that were out here doing the park and building the stuff, the precision they used and stuck to was really amazing to watch. So applause to them. I had help and assistance on a mold maker, Joe Reginella. I don't know if he's here, but he did a wonderful mold making job after I was finished the sculpting on here. And all the people that helped and assisted me and modeled for the project and everything like that, I just want to thank them. And just to say a few few of why this really matters, and it was kind of touched on earlier. When you go back in history and you look at even the rise of a lot of the Confederate monuments, when art and sculptures were used as a tool of war to oppress people and to have marginalize and say, okay, this country doesn't belong to you. You don't have rights here. And a lot of the Confederate statues that went up in the early part of the 1900s were there to do that. Well, hopefully now it's a new day, and we can now use art and our creative talents to uplift and to educate rather than to demean and to keep people down. So, you know, that's kind of, and as that history is being re-examined, you see a movement across the country where you're seeing a lot of different monuments, you know, coming down and other ones going up that should be there. So I'm glad to have played a role in that. And this also why representation matters. I mean, and it was touched on earlier today, when you have, especially young minority kids, I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I didn't see a lot of representation in the art. I went to art school. I went to some of the great art schools in Salt Lake. So any African-American artists I was exposed to at the time, walking through the downtown areas of Baltimore, you didn't see much minorities in the monuments. So if I'm able to play a role in that, and whatever small or make a difference, then I'm more than honored to be given that opportunity to do so. I kind of growing up in my household in Baltimore. My father is my parents couldn't be here today, unfortunately, because they couldn't make the trip. They're still quarantining, but my father's a civil rights attorney back in Baltimore. So growing up, I used to see all the cases of police brutality that he would take on, and he would represent families that, you know, had suffered injustices and stuff like that. He still does. And so I watched my grandfather fight the system to battle discrimination against his job. He was an engineer with the government. So I kind of grew up in all this. So I always figured, I was taught that whatever I can do to make a difference, and me being as an artist, if I can make a difference or make somebody, a kid or a young person, help educate them just by walking by here seeing this, then I feel that is my job to do so. I think Nina Simone put it once, an artist's job is to represent their times or to speak to their times. That's what we as artists do. And hopefully I'm doing that the best I can do here. Just to take you for a little bit of the concept here, I looked around when I was starting this project, different Mary McLeod Bethune monuments across the country, and just kind of seeing getting some different references. They all showed her as an elderly woman. I did something the opposite here. I showed her as a young woman. I wanted to show her in her dawn rather than her twilight, to represent a beginning, to represent a start, her ambition, her drive as a young woman, and how she got started. And also, when you see the pose was taken from a story that I read about her when she was a young girl. And she had a book in her hand, and a white lady came to her and took the book from her and said, "This is not for you." And I said, I want to capture that moment. So even though I couldn't find that moment in pictures, I just put everything together the best I could, and I have her grasping the books as representation of holding on to knowledge, holding on to education. And the expression that I put on the face is one of defiance, but yet defiance and just determination. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So that's basically my concept behind it, and I hope everybody enjoys it, and hoping that it's going to be an asset to this community and to the Bethune Center for many generations to come. So without going on any further, we're going to get to the unveiling, and I thank you all once again for coming out. Support our food vendors over there. Support our merchandise vendors who are coming out, most of them local to the community. And so, thank you. Let's open this thing up. Damas. Okay.